Today we are going to build a firewall for my 1970 Dodge Charger. And like a lot of projects on my car, this one starts with some quick rust repair. Like it's mostly surface stuff where the door pillar meets the forward rocker and is a common spot for rust. Given that the car has a 12-inch setback LS, I can't exactly go to the AMD catalog, so while I was in the middle of building the transmission crossmember from the last episode, I took a pause to draw up a firewall plan and got it over to SendCutSend. About a week later, the transmission was installed and it had a box with the firewall in it. Hey y'all, new material going on the car. I don't know what to call it, side curtain, firewall thing. And so I picked a material that's about the same thickness, it's 20 gauge or so. The way that I know that this is set up correctly is I've got the level on here, it shows 90 degrees. I know that the car is level, right, because I measure it. These jack stands here, they have a leveling capacity. And this at 90 degrees, I know the firewall is straight up and down. So I'm going to mark, trim, weld, and get these things fit in place and blend them down. I don't know if we'll have enough time. Y'all have seen me use Seymour layout fluid before, but it's especially handy when you're trying to scribe out an irregular cut line like on this panel here. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. And sometimes, just sometimes, I can keep myself from making avoidable mistakes, but my record is far from perfect. So this happens to me a lot, where I am going down a path of like putting on a part, and then I pause, and before I'm about to tag something in place, I look around to see if there's something that I'm about to kind of mess up. I think of it as like peeking around corners to see like if I put this, side firewall panel on there, what part am I closing off? And in this case, I'm going to make it kind of difficult to, get this corner, the unibody corner, to meet over to the frame. It's a whole lot easier if I just do it right now, so I am. Hot pulse MIG welds are perfect for these open corner edges. I'm joining new 16 gauge to crusty old 18 gauge using the hotter of those two settings on my Miller Multimatic. And I'm at this point where I've got three part, the front part, the bottom, all plated in, blended, welded, all that stuff. And I'm gonna do the top. Once again, taking a pause to peek around a corner. And what I need to do is I need to fill that little cavity, or I need to paint the inside of that cavity with weld through primer. In this case, I'm gonna drench the inside and only have one plate to put on here. This is Seymour's weld through primer, and I have on this like extendo nozzle that I took off a can of Eastwood paint. That is going to let me, you put the nozzle kind of down in there in these little nooks and crannies to make sure that I get the zinc-rich, corrosion-resistant stuff in all of the little cracks that I can't see anymore that are probably bare metal that have just been welded to and then ground and gotten hot. But if I can pause and remember to peek around corners, man, that sure is helpful. Weld-through primer is essentially a zinc galv primer. It's very, very corrosion resistant, and it's intended for when panels are butted together, that if there's any water gets between those little panels, it's not gonna rust through. Once I get all this welded in place, the next thing to do is really just to measure and get the top plate welded on. So, one corner is done. The rust repair is complete, top in, it's all enclosed, right? And I've been putting that off forever. I shouldn't have. I always feel a little bit afraid that I'm not going to get that one part right. Like my idea for what to do is going to evolve later. But this is one where my idea on how to close that in was simple now, and it was simple at the beginning, and I just should have stuck with my instinct. And when I'm welding 1970 steel to new stuff, MIG does really nicely, especially when I haven't cleaned perfectly the other side of this panel. that MIG cleaning action does really well, and it penetrates very, very easily and quickly. But you got a bump to keep it smooth. Now, I have to do this one more time on the other side, but for you guys, it's going to be the magic of video, and it's going to be copy and paste. I try to invest a lot of time making sure parts mirror each other side to side. Like in this case, the door pillars are the reference points so that the forward flanges on each of the two side curtains are as close to perfectly aligned as I can get. And look, I really don't know what else to call those panels, so I guess I'm sticking with side curtains. Both of these are 030 steel, right? 1970, 2024. This is just some of the thinnest material on the car. It's certainly partly why these shapes are put in it, is to give them a good bit of rigidity. And even before I've welded up or we've added the front firewall, these things are really pretty stiff. Planishing and blending this unsupported thin panel was very tricky. Heat from welding shrinks the face of the work. Now a low crown hammer and dolly can bring that roughly back to flat, and then I can carefully blend the weld to just about even. But see, that grinding also puts heat into the panel, which itself will create some amount of shrinking. Now all that is generally true for any sheet metal, but when it is this thin, the effects can get exaggerated quickly. But even then, there's more to do to make it fully flat as if it were one piece of metal from the beginning. Again, Seymour layout fluid and a block sander reveal the low spots. Gentle pressure on the backside of the panel using the high crown gets those spots a little bit closer to even, and this is where the shrinking disc works really well on those persistent high spots. This material responds quickly, so I learned to favor smaller inputs like modest pressure on the shrinking disc, light dinging with the low crown, and so on. Look, honestly, I was terrified of thinning the material and creating that oil can effect, so I probably went slower than I needed to, but it does take a minute to start reading how the steel is responding to these inputs and then modulating my technique to match. This time lapse represents a full afternoon of work, and I did end up getting it plenty smooth for some high build primer to do the rest of the work. The firewall is going to be in multiple pieces, and what most people do is they put a whole piece of steel or paper or whatever across the front. Me, we're going to have two firewall sections. To get all that really kind of shaped out, I'm going to have to take the cowl off again, probably store it on the roof with all the steering. I mean, if you guys have project cars, you know that there's a lot of room on the roof. Besides, one box goes away today. You know what's in there? Firewalls. It's not in AMD's catalog, or I'd have ordered it, but they don't make a two-piece firewall for a 1-foot setback LS in a 1970 Charger. I don't know. I'll call my buddy Jason over there and see if he'll add it to the catalog. But in the meantime, all this stuff's from SendCutSend. This stuff on the side is 030 mild steel, really thin. I've never worked material that thin. That's why I didn't go through the process with you guys, is I had a lot of figuring out to do. And part of the deal that I have with this channel is to make sure that I only talk about the things that I've got direct experience with, and like I can tell you a little bit of process about, and I was still figuring out some things for that one. SendCutSend also made the front. This is 18 gauge, much heavier duty. 045-ish is about the thickness. I end up making a lot of these designs with SendCutSend and then trimming them to fit, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It starts out life like this, and that's actually just, that is going to go over here on this side. I've also done this side firewall. And I've already carved out this part for header clearance, right? This came all the way up to the edge, and I gave myself plenty of room. And I naturally have to trim, this part here. But what I want to make sure, these angles all match, right? Separate bends, SendCutSend nailed it, and I can just like trim to fit. This bar is held here because the front pillar, the A pillar, has an angle, outward angle to it. And this stuff is so thin and that you got to be able to strengthen it up to keep it in a straight line. And you can see from this angle, right, 3 cylinders exposed. Number 5 is also kind of like straight here in the middle. A normal Mopar firewall would span this whole thing, but I'd just end up cutting out the middle anyway and then having to do this relief, so I'm not entirely sure it would have worked too well. Now, so the thing that I've got to do next is get these front firewalls trimmed, and then I can at least start getting a sense for how this thing is going to go together. If I can get this thing clecoed and held together man, that's a win, right? Then I'll actually be able to put front tires on. I think I'll put the steering rack on there. And then maybe body panels, like real body panels. What I like about projects like this is that it breaks up nicely over a couple of weeknights. Most of this segment was filmed over a handful of 1 and 2 hour sessions after work. And I found the trick to breaking up work like that is that at the end of each session, I am set up for the next time. That way, I can dive right in no matter how much time I might have. Now, this is a detail that I've been thinking about for a minute now. And I think it's hard to tell from where you guys can see it, but I've got the whole chassis perfectly level so I can index off the frame here. And what I want to do is I want to make this cut parallel to the valve cover, which 90 degree V8, these should be at 45 degrees. We will see. Wow. Yeah, exactly 45 degrees. That means I don't have to really do a whole lot of measuring. I've got some templates for 45, just a speed square. I'm gonna make it a perfect 45 degrees so that the firewall parallels the valve cover, and like it's just, you know, you got that jewelry box effect of what you're looking at. Everything's going to draw your eye down, and things are going to be sort of symmetrical and parallel. These are details that I really love. I had SendCutSend make a bunch of these little tabs. These are just aluminum 2 and 3 hole tabs that I will bend so that I can Cleco this thing together. So what I'm doing right now is bending this so that 2 of these existing holes can capture the front plate. That's the general idea. The way that I approached getting these panels from SendCutSend was really just to kind of create a large canvas with the bends I knew I wanted, but that would just let me kind of like trim off the parts that I didn't want. And so far that's working out pretty well. One of the things that I have really enjoyed about working with a laser shop, and in my case SendCutSend, is that I can send these designs off while I am working on something else. Like these side and front firewalls that I'm integrating into the car right now. I had designed and drawn these about in parallel to when I was putting in the transmission and drive shaft. So while I was deep in fabricating a new transmission crossmember, SendCutSend was cutting and bending these and getting ready to ship them my direction. For small shop builders like you and me, that's like having an employee. Except all I gotta do is pay him for the materials itself, and I don't have to buy a whole sheet and spend time making it. Which, if the objective is to build and make forward progress at a faster than average clip, then this is a great way to go about doing it, especially because you can make progress on 2 workflows at the same time. We're quickly approaching the point in this project where a few different threads are about to tie together. Like right now, we're about to see how the front tires, which themselves are 50% wider than factory, clear this custom firewall assembly when turned lock to lock on a steering rack that pushes 25% farther on a suspension that's entirely different from stock, on a hand-built one-off chassis. I remember clearly the anxiety that I felt in this moment.
So generally speaking, I couldn't be happier with the way all those panels have gone together. It's the first time me like enclosing a shape, so it's just kind of surreal for me. We're going one step further. I'm trading this out from the other rack because it's got more travel side to side, and I can get should be over 30 degrees of steering angle. I would like to have 33, but I got new bushings, and yeah, put this thing on, and then I'll be able to at least start to see with the proper alignment how the tires are going to steer lock to lock. And at that point, I'll know if kind of the next time we get together, if I've got to do any clearancing on those firewalls. I don't think I will, but knock on wood, let's just see how it turns out.
This car has really only ever existed in my imagination. And each time I make progress like today, there's a little bit more that's transferred to reality. That's the game I play. Details are satisfying. I love them. But they need to be mixed with meaningful achievements for my personal motivation engine to keep running, which that's why I paired steering and a rough tire test fit with firewall fabrication. It lets me see around a corner, and I'm telling y'all, I cannot wait for you to see what's coming. This welding and fabrication project, it is starting to turn into a car. That's freaking cool. I've got to figure out how the steering shaft and the headers are going to work together because those things can't occupy the same space. Still got a lot more cycling to do. I got to figure out like how the tires are going to interfere at different ride heights. By the way, I'm still not done with that cowl. Lots of detail left to do there. But this and all of the other work you'll find right here. So until next time, y'all take care.